Hello everyone! Today, we will try to survive on this empty map for different amounts of time. The first attempt will last just 1 minute, the second 1 hour, and the third a whole day. Let's see what we can accomplish and achieve. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Let's start by building a farm in 1 minute. Right now, I'm near the store and the timer has already started, so we quickly head to the nearest tree to cut it down. The only equipment we have is a chainsaw, so we grab it and get to work. We need to try to drop the tree directly onto the selling point to avoid carrying it manually. Perfect! We managed to do it on the first try, but time doesn't wait, so we immediately run to sell it. We got almost $2,000 for this tree. Not a bad sum, considering it took less than a minute. With some money in hand, we start building our small farm. First, I set up a resting area, laid a small path to it, and added a shelter for the equipment I plan to rent soon. After finishing construction, I headed to the store, picked the cheapest available tractor, rented it, and drove it under our brand new shelter. And just like that, in only 1 minute, we have our own little farm. Most importantly, we now have equipment to start working the land. A great result! Without wasting any time, we move on to building a farm in 1 hour. We still only have a chainsaw, so the only way to earn our starting capital is to cut down trees again. I chose a small, dry tree near the selling point, hoping to drop it directly onto it like last time. Unfortunately, this time it didn't work, so I had to cut the trunk into pieces and carry everything manually. Luckily, this didn't take too long, and within a few minutes, a neat stack of logs was ready at the selling point. Without hesitation, we sell them right away. We earned a little over $3,500 for this wood. Not bad at all. This amount is enough to rent a small tractor that will help transport trees for sale. I chose a compact but reliable model. However, since the work ahead is tough, I upgraded it with the most powerful engine and dual wheels to improve road grip. This upgrade cost me a little over $2,000. As I was leaving the store, I remembered that we also needed a winch to attach trees to the tractor. Once I bought it, it was time to head to the forest and get to work. Upon reaching the nearest grove, I wasted no time and immediately cut down the first tree. I attached the tree to the tractor with the winch and immediately repeated the process with a second tree. Even though our tractor looks small, it has enough power to pull even more logs, but I didn't want to overload it just yet, so I stuck to 2. As expected, it handled them with ease. We quickly reached the store, dragged the logs onto the selling point, and sold them. In the end, we earned a little over $2,500. Not bad for the first round, but I didn't stop there and went back to the forest. This time, I decided to attach 3 trees at once. I wanted to take another one, but I was worried the winch wouldn't hold. The tractor was still pulling the logs confidently, but a new problem appeared. Due to the lack of a counterweight, the front of the tractor lifted slightly, making steering more difficult. Despite this, I managed to drag the logs to the store and sell them, making nearly $6,000. Now we had $9,500 in our balance, but that still wasn't enough. So I kept working. Learning from my mistakes, I decided to transport only 2 trees at a time from then on. After bringing them to the store, I didn't sell them right away, but tried cutting them up first. As I had heard that processed logs sell for more money, I tested it, and it was true. For 2 processed trunks, I received nearly $8,000. It turns out the rumors were right. Our balance had already grown to just over $17,000, and half an hour had passed. I figured it was time to start building the farm. I chose a great spot near the store and got straight to work. First, of course, I built a small house where I would live, then laid out a road and put up a small shed for the tractor. Next to it, I added a shelter for tools and small equipment, then fenced in the entire area. But the money ran out quickly. There was still enough time, so I went back to earning. After selling a few more logs, dogs, I rented a plow and tilled a small garden behind the house for growing vegetables and crops. With the remaining money, I decorated the farm a bit, but there were only 2 minutes left. I didn't have time to find any fancy decorations, so with the last bit of money, I placed a doghouse. And that was it. Time was up. This is the farm we ended up with. Small but cozy. We have a house, a shed for the tractor, and even a little garden. A great result for just 1 hour of work. We've reached the final stage, building a farm in 1 day. To earn money for further development, we start again by cutting down trees, since, as you remember, we begin with only a chainsaw. As I felled the first tree and started cutting it up, I unexpectedly noticed a small golden apple. Picking it up, I immediately received $5,000. It turned out to be a collectible item that earned us a reward. I was pleasantly surprised, as this would significantly speed up our progress. After that, I finished cutting the tree, sold it, and earned a little over $1,000. Then I headed to the store to rent a tractor, a mower, and a forage trailer, since I decided to make money by selling grass. Choosing a tractor wasn't easy. I needed something cheap yet powerful, capable of mowing and collecting grass simultaneously. In the end, I settled on a case tractor and rented a forage trailer, along with a small mower. All of this cost nearly $5,000. After attaching the equipment, I set off to mow. Pretty quickly, I filled the trailer with grass and immediately headed to the selling point. I earned $4,000 from the sale. That's when I thought, what if I turned the grass into hay? Hay sells for more, and it wouldn't require much extra work. To do this, we'd need a tedder, a special tool that spreads grass to help it dry faster. I went to the store, rented a tedder, and also got a windrower to speed up the process of gathering hay into rows. After attaching everything to the tractor, I continued working. Now, instead of just mowing, I was immediately converting the grass into hay by spreading it evenly. Once it had dried enough, I raked it into windrows and then used the forage trailer to collect it before heading off to sell. A full trailer of hay earned me almost $5,000. Much better. There was still some hay left on the field, so I went back and gathered every last bit. After earning a bit more money, I decided it was time to switch to a more profitable business. The next step was buying a wood chipper and a trailer. Wood chips are quite valuable, meaning we could earn even more. Gathering all my equipment, I headed to the store to buy the new machinery. To maximize our profits, I rented one of the most powerful wood chippers, along with an 18,000-litre trailer. After transporting all the necessary equipment to the nearest forest, I immediately started up the chipper and began actively cutting down trees, feeding them into the machine for processing. In just a few trees, our trailer was completely filled with wood chips. Without wasting time, I took it to the selling point, where we earned a little over $13,000 for the load. That was already a solid profit, but I had no intention of stopping there. Without wasting a minute, I kept working. The forest echoed with the sound of the saw, and the chipper never stopped for a second. After half an hour of intense work, my balance had already grown to $42,000. At some point, I realized that I was spending more time transporting wood chips than actually producing them. It was clear that I needed to speed up the process. The idea came quickly. I would rent another trailer and create a small trailer hitch, then attached it to the one I already had. Now we had a long trailer setup with 2 trailers, but one big question remained. Could the tractor handle the load? The only way to find out was to test it in action. I brought the equipment back to the wood chipper and continued processing trees. Now the process became much more efficient, as I didn't have to deliver the chips for sale as often. As soon as both trailers were fully loaded, I headed to the selling point. And there it was. Now, with just one trip, I was earning a whopping $26,000. This was a whole new level of profit. I kept working until late in the evening, accumulating a total of $95,000. But time was running out. It was already getting dark, and I still had to build the farm. Realizing that it was time to wrap up the logging work, I gathered all the unnecessary equipment and returned it to the store. Now, it was finally time to start building our dream farm. After a bit of searching, I found the perfect spot for construction, a cozy area near a small lake. It was spacious and beautiful, with a nearby forest that could be useful in the future. The first thing I built was a house to live in. It was the most expensive purchase of the day, but absolutely necessary. Placing it on a small hill, I immediately started organizing the surroundings. Not far from the house, I built a garage for a car that I planned to rent. For the tractor, I constructed a shed, choosing a convenient spot on a hillside. To make the farm feel cozier and more practical, I laid pathways between the buildings, fenced off the area around the lake with a small fence, and worked on landscaping. I wanted to add some atmosphere, so I decided to build a pier. There were no materials available, but I used whatever I could find. And in the end, I created a small wooden platform where I could fish or dock a boat. The overall look of the farm was improving. I planted several trees, decorated the area with flowers, placed decorative elements, and installed lanterns along the pathways to provide lighting at night. To make the lake look cleaner, I cleared its shores a bit and planted large trees around it, creating a cozy, natural atmosphere. Once construction was finished, I headed to the store to rent some equipment. With the remaining money, I decided to get a pickup truck, which would be useful in the future. I returned all the other equipment I had used earlier, as I no longer needed it. After arranging everything in its place, I looked at my work. The day was coming to an end. Night had already fallen, and all that was left was to rest before the final review. Morning came, and I could finally evaluate the results. Yesterday, this farm was just an empty plot, but now it had a cozy house, a shed for equipment, a garage for a car, and even a small pier by the lake. Everything looked neat and complete, with pathways connecting the main buildings and lanterns softly illuminating the walkways. I walked around the area and realized that I was truly satisfied with the work done. In just one day, I managed to create a fully functional place for living and working, with beautiful surroundings and convenient infrastructure. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. See you all next time.